So we are now recording, so I hope that's okay for you all. Moving on, today, quickly an introduction to Grin. What is ERPNext? Some salient features that I would like to bring to you all. Then we'll go through a use case for contract manufacturing. I'm missing an F over there. Or a food startup, for example. So I think this is important to know what the context is. So I'll set up the use case for everybody so that you can follow what's going on. And then I'll show you the demo in that context. So that's the last part of that. Yeah, so the walkthrough. About Grin, Bradley and I kind of thought that ERPNext is very cool and it's free and open source. So we thought, we should do something around it. So we got very enthusiastic. So we are very, very early enthusiasts in Switzerland. And we decided to find this company called Grin, or to start a company called Grin. And then we've been ever since promoting ERPNext. We use ERPNext for a family business, so it's very important. So we are betting our own business on it. So it's very important that people bet their own business on it. Otherwise, it's probably not reliable. So I find it reliable for my family business. So I find it it's important to note that. The team members at Grin are have a variety of experience, including supply chain, finance, and data engineering, and cloud. So that's something of a diverse background we bring to this to Grin. And we also do ERPNext implementation, data integration, extract, transformation, and load of data. A lot of times clients want to migrate from one system to another system. So we have to take the data, change it, massage it, and then put it back in ERPNext as an example. So we do that quite often. We are also starting now helping smaller companies with marketing and e-commerce with a relatively modern technology called Jamstack. So this is what we do. Bradley is also the co-founder and enthusiast, and he's my coach, and he's co-hosting this show, so this meetup. So he'll be monitoring and admitting everybody into the chat, into the teams, into this session. Okay, so with that introduction, quickly let's go into what is ERPNext and what are the salient features of ERPNext, and I think that's important to know. And for that, what I would like to do is switch my presentation to a different presentation here. So ERPNext, as some of you might know, is a free and open source ERP system. It's billing itself to be an alternative to SAP and Oracle and so on and so forth. And it is one of the fastest growing ERP systems in the world. There's tons and tons of downloads. Nobody knows exactly how many people install it, but if you see if downloads and number of developers, number of users on discussion forums is any indication, it is literally growing. It's doubling in size every 6 months or so, or a little bit longer than that. And we, Grin, are the first partners of ERPNext in Europe. So we were among the first ones to say, hey, we really love this and we would like to bring this to Europe, especially to Switzerland. And as far as recognition, you can see right away ERPNext is rated as per the usability, and the user recommendation is among the top 5 ERP system. And you can see where everybody else is. The blue ones are enterprise, and the red ones are small vendors. But ERPNext is no more a small vendor. So apologies, sorry to silence my phone probably. So ERPNext is #1 on GitHub. I don't know if you know GitHub. Sorry, if you know GitHub. GitHub is where people publish their open source software. Microsoft owns it now for at least a year and a half. And the ERPNext is #1 in India and number 308 worldwide. And just to give you an idea, GitHub has 200 million projects. 200 million projects. So that's 308, number 308. So Facebook, Google, they all contribute to projects on GitHub, so it's still ranking really, really high. Just to give you an idea, there are about 270 contributors to this open source project. There's 5,000 clones each month. That means people take the software and make a copy of it and do something with it. 10,000 commits in total, so 10,000 contributions in total. 50,000 deployments roughly. There are 9,000 members on the forum, the discussion forum, and 43 partners, channel partners. So it's it's not a small company or it's not a small ecosystem anymore. It's quite a healthy community, and it is gaining traction as every day as we go every day. So just to give you a bit of a timeline, ERPNext was an idea 15 years ago, roughly. A guy called Rishabh Mehta, he started a company called Frappe Technologies back in India, in Mumbai. And then he participated in the Google Summer of Code. And then, I think they won a prize. And that's how ERPNext as a SaaS company began in 2010. They published it on GitHub, made it open source in 2013, and ever since they've been growing rapidly, as you can see from the GitHub stars and so on and so forth. So why ERPNext? Why you should choose ERPNext? ERPNext is an ecosystem. It comes with a lot of applications and frameworks surrounding it. So, for example, the two of the top, my favorite are ERPNext and Frappe. Frappe framework, for example, is something that, for example, if your company wants to digitalize a portion of your business, then you can take Frappe framework and create an app, and instantly you get contacts, login, user management, forgot my password, PDF generation, and tables, and so on and so forth out of the box. So it's a really low-code framework, and it helps you create it helps you create your business logic really fast without having to worry about the infrastructure behind it. So it's almost like a ready-made application that you can do whatever you want with it. So you can save about 90% of your time if you start with Frappe already. What is ERPNext built on or built upon? ERPNext is built upon 100% open source technology stack. It's based on MariaDB as a database, Redis Cache for caching, Python 2 and 3 compatible backend. The app itself is a single-page application. That means it can run on your mobile, on your desktop, on your iPad, and so on and so forth. And there's a backend server using Node and Socket.io. And also, it's something that I really like. This is one of my favorite slides. ERPNext is multi-company, multi-currency, multilingual, multi-tenant. It has multiple warehouses, multi-user. It's customizable. It's configurable. There are workflows. You can integrate it with SAP or Salesforce or whatever you want. It has notification system. It has portals. You can build portals. For example, a supplier portal or a customer portal. And then it has tremendously powerful roles and permissions. And you can build mobile apps using it. So it's incredible what it can do, and it's open source. You can do whatever you want with it, literally. It also comes. There are some pre-built integrations. For example, you can build. You can store your documents on Google Drive. You can back it up to Google Drive. You can do a checkout using Stripe or Razorpay or PayPal. You can publish your items on Shopify or WooCommerce. Or you can even sell your stuff on Amazon if that's what you do. If you have a store, if you have a store on Amazon, you can set up your ERPNext to publish your items on Amazon as well. So it's pretty powerful, I have to say. Let me quickly go.
Deepak, sorry. We had one question from Abdul about doing cloud-based implementations or self-hosted on-premise implementations. Our experience.
Sorry, the question is Grin experienced on it?
Yeah, is Grin experienced in doing cloud-based implementations or self-hosted on-premise? I think we've done a bit of both.
We do both. For our own family business, we run it ourselves. So it's a self-implemented, self-hosted, self-managed. For all our clients, we typically work with Frappe Cloud or ERPNext.com. So I'll give you the options towards the end of this part of this presentation, and also show you some of the prices. So for Swiss companies, a lot of them would like to have their servers on premise itself and not on the cloud for data security reasons. Whether it is correct or not, that's a different question. So we do implement or host it as per their wishes. A lot of times that's what they want, and that's what we are able to do as well. I hope I answered that question. But if you have more questions, maybe we can also take it offline on that topic. So yeah, so there's tons and tons of users. Frappe, the company behind ERPNext, has about 5,000 clients that they run. 5,000 clients is not a small number by any means, and they have well-known companies like Reliance, which is a multinational in India, out of India, and a lot of European companies as well. Sorry. ERPNext offers one of the best or the fastest out-of-the-box implementation. So, for example, if you try to implement for a small or medium-sized enterprise any other ERP system, it takes considerable amount of energy and time. As far as ERPNext is concerned, you can self-implement or you can find a partner, and typically we can do, if your processes are quite decent and standard, you can do it in literally within 6 to 8 weeks. So it's, of course, it depends on how structured the data is, where you're coming from, how much customization you need. But all things considered, it is still the fastest implementation and one of the easiest to implement. There are no secret modules. Everything is available. It's well documented. There's a very live and active discussion forum, so you can post your questions there and you can get an answer. So it is really superb to implement. It's actually a pleasure, to implement ERPNext compared to any other ERP system that are there today. Again, quickly about some of the features that I didn't speak about. There are things like enterprise class features like two-factor authentication, HTTPS, secure storage, so you have encrypted storage. Then you can deploy it using Kubernetes or Docker. You can, like I said, it's multi-user, multi-company, multi-entities. You have multi-currency as well. You have very detailed roles and responsibilities that you can configure. So you can literally say this user can only change this one document, like sales invoice with this invoice number and nothing else. So you can give a permission down to a document level, not just the document type, but the document itself. The built-in dashboarding facilities available. And there's an open API, which means you can literally connect any system with ERPNext using REST API as an example. And that makes it even more powerful. There are also some really enterprise level features like serialized items, batch number for your production, variants for your items. So you can take a shirt and you can create 4 items like small, medium, large, extra large. And these are relatively complex features that are only available in like SAP or Oracle. And they also cover these kind of features. So it's pretty, I would say, powerful for anybody who wants to use it. A few screenshots. It's easy to use. As you can see, username and password. You can also use, like I said, single sign-on using Google or Facebook or any other login methodology, or Microsoft Azure or Google Identity Management. So that is also available here. This is called the desk, and I'll show you this live later on, but just to give you an idea, what you're looking at. This is the desk. This is the starting point for version 12 and 13. And here you can see all these are not all the modules that are there. These are just some of the modules. So you have accounting, sales or selling, buying, stock, assets, projects. So if you are a project company like a construction company, you can do projects here. There's CRM. You can also manage your support tickets, for example, entirely through the system. Then of course there's manufacturing, retail, which is point of sale. Education, healthcare for hospitals and pharmacies, agriculture, including for dairy, for example, for meat packing industries, non-profit. You can create website, you can post to social media from here, and you have dashboards. So this is an incredible set of features that you can use out of the box. You have forms. So typically this is what a sales invoice form looks like. Of course, this form is pretty long, so there's only a small screenshot of it. So what you can see is this sales invoice. You can create payment entry, payment request. You can create a journal entry connected to the sales invoice. You can create other sales invoice based on this sales invoice. You can create delivery notes. You can auto repeat this like a subscription. and you can also customize this form like as you would like to have. This is a list of all the open tickets. This is just a list view. And sorry for this resolution. I just realized it's pretty bad. You can also have different views of the same of this list of this view. You can have a Kanban view, and you can have a tree view where there is a hierarchy. For example, a warehouse has hierarchies, like the top level. There's the let's say the Zurich warehouse, and in the Zurich warehouse you have storage location, and within storage location you have sub-storage locations. So you have a tree view, for example. So you can do all these kind of things, and it's available for all the documents, or at least most of the documents. You can easily print PDFs or generate PDFs, and you can email it out right from the system. Like I said, there's dashboarding facility available with some filters on top. Here you can see Kanban view. You can send back, communicate it as an email client. This chat. Those are the free screenshots. Let's say this is the buying module, for example. So you can see from buying, you can say, I want to create a purchase order or a material request or request for quotation, or you can, go and browse some items or change the item prices. And you can add other document that you want to create or do over here. You can also customize this view. This is what a buying page looks like. So you can see on the left-hand side, you can create purchase order, material request for quotations, and so on and so forth. Supply group. You can organize your supplies in groups. Contact and addresses for your suppliers. Items, item price, item bundles. So you can say my laptop and laptop bag and mouse and keyboard is a bundle, and I can sell it as a bundle. You can have promotional schemes and pricing rules. So you can say, if you buy 10, I'll give you 1 free, and you can make those rules here. It's pretty complex, and it's a super cool feature. And there's some analytics over here as well, so which you can see purchase analytics, supply-wise sales analytics, purchase order trends, some trackers, and so on and so forth. So it's pretty rich in its feature already. It's all out of the box. It's what a PDF view looks like. The box integration, I already mentioned it with Okta, Zapier, Dropbox, S3, PayPal, Razorpay, and so on and so forth. And yeah, I went through this pretty fast because I wanted to cover the demo part of it. For those of you who don't know anything about ERPNext, I think this probably is useful. Of course, for those who know ERPNext quite well, this probably is a bit of a boring part for you. So yeah, so if you have any questions at this point, maybe we can just pause here for a second, and then we can take it from there. There's also one more slide I would like to show you about the pricing.
Yeah, so just that one question on the chat. If you guys want to put your questions in the chat, I'll monitor those and then feed them back to Deepak also, or else you can. We have a small group. There's 9 guests on the call, so I think it's easy enough to unmute yourself and ask your question. So whichever way you want. It looks like nothing for now, so yeah, maybe.
All right, let's carry on then. Okay, good. Okay, so this, like I said, the title of this meetup was Supercharge Your Food or Manufacturing Startup. And as a startup, typically what happens is you don't have your own fixed assets. You want to keep you want to conserve capital. So mostly people use contract manufacturers to, make and sell their soft drinks or peanut butters or make their drones or whatever that is that they make and sell. So contract manufacturing is typically the mode of most startup manufacturing and food startups. And that's why I thought it would be interesting to see if we could explain how ERPNext could be used here for your use case. So as you see, like I mentioned, typically they use third-party or contract manufacturing. They buy, so the companies themselves buy the raw material, they source it, they have their own bill of material or the recipe or the formula how to make something or how it should be made, the unique formula or the secret recipe. Typically, they send the raw material to the contract manufacturer, And once the contract manufacturer has mixed it, packed it, and put it in a pallet, put it on a pallet, they source it back into their warehouse, and then obviously they pay for the manufacturing, the services, and then they sell it to the distributor, or they send it to the retailer, or they do a direct to customer delivery. So this is a typical setup. Of course, some might do a little bit differently, but this is a typical setup. So typically what happens is you have 3 parties involved, and for this use case, I'll use my company as the startup. So let's say I am a Swiss bike manufacturing, a startup that makes and sells mountain bikes. And let's say we have 2 suppliers, Shimano and Oerlikon Assembler. So Shimano gives us all the parts like the wheels, the gears, and the handlebars, and so on and so forth. And Oerlikon Assembler, based in Oerlikon next door, they give us they assemble it for us and give it back to us. So those are the 2 suppliers, and I have 1 customer, and it's the mountain bike company on top of a mountain here close by. So this is a typical setup, let's say, and we have to set up a warehouse, or at least a warehouse trees. So I have set up a work in progress warehouse for the suppliers, where they are manufacturing using my raw materials. And for me, I have raw materials and I have finished goods. So raw materials come to me, and then I send it to the supplier work in progress warehouse, and from there on it comes back as finished goods into the stores. So that's typically how it's a very small setup for illustration purposes. And the items I'll be using today is mountain bike wheels, mountain bike frame, and mountain bike handle, just to show you how it would work. I will also set up a bill of material, which the 3 items will go into the mountain bike. So that bill of material is already created. I will not show you because it's painstaking to do that online. So how will we go through this today? So I will create a quotation to the customer, then I'll convert that into a sales order. Then I'll create a material request for the finished goods, that I want to have those bikes finished. And then I'll also I will create a purchase order also, and then we'll trigger a sub process where the material request for raw material goes out, and then the purchase order is sent to the supplier. The supplier sends the material, and we create a purchase receipt. We transfer the material to another supplier so that he can put it all together, assemble it together. I receive the finished goods in my warehouse, in my store, and I create a delivery note so I can deliver it to the customer, on Uetliberg, on the mountain. And then I look at my profit and loss just to complete the transaction so you can see the whole process. Yeah, I hope that works out. So let me go over to, this is my setup. Let me know if you can see it. If you can see my screen here.
We still only see the presentation, Deepak.
Okay, all right. So I think I have to also share.
You have to share your browser.
Or I can just add it here, and hopefully let me log in. Let me quickly reshare. Stop sharing.
And I assume these are edible bicycles, Deepak, because we spoke about food.
Food /
concept,
contract
right?
manufacturing.
Yes, yeah, I'm just joking.
It's a chocolate bicycle. All right, so here we go. This is the desk of the ERP system, ERPNext ERP system. Here, like I said, you can see more or less all the modules. And what I would like to do is quickly walk you through just a couple of things here. So let me walk you through the items. So this is in the stock module. So you can see I have I've sort of hearted the show tags. So there's a bunch of items here. What I'll do is I will just select the ones that I've hearted so that it limits the view and doesn't confuse all of us. So this is these are the bike. This is the completed mountain bike. Let's say, yeah. So it has This is the dashboard, and this is what the form looks like typically. These are the parts. Oh, sorry, I think I clicked too fast. So these are the parts typically. Let's say the bike frame. You can see, you can add some images here, and you can see all the transactions related to this part. What are the quotations on it? What are the purchase requests, purchase orders on it? All the stock movements, batch number for traceability or serial number, some pricing rules, so on and so forth. So, and here, if you see, this is also a cool feature here. Depending on how dark it is, it'll show you how many transactions were created on which day. So you can just look at this and you can tell, oh yeah, on January there's a transaction. That's the day I want to go, and then you can go into that date. So that's the item. So let's get started then with the process. Is that clear so far? I'll pause for a moment because then we get a little bit of a feedback if people are following or not. So far so good, or
so clear? Also good, yeah.
Yeah, it's clear for me.
Comments.
Thanks, Anupam. Thanks, Abdul. Thanks also, Han Kyung. Okay, so let me then start off with okay, so like I said, I will create the quotation, sales order, and material request. Sometimes there are so many steps that I have to remind myself what am I going to do next. Okay, so quotation is a part of the CRM module. Where is CRM? It's here. Let's see. Okay, even it's in the sales module. Selling module. Let me create a quotation here. Okay, so I tested this out yesterday just to see if everything is set up correctly. So let's say, yeah. So I want to create a quotation for Whitleyburg Rentals, and I'm gonna add, let's say, mountain bike one, and he wants, let's say, 20 mountain bikes, and then that's the price. Let's make it 500. Yeah. Just to keep, we increase the price today. So you can see all the addresses are pre-filled, where the delivery address is, who's the contact person, so on and so forth. Let me add the sales and the taxes, sales taxes for Switzerland. That's what it is. So that's the total. I'll ignore the payment term and so on and so forth. Yeah, but you can add payment terms as well. And I submit it, and that's it. So this is as easy as it gets. So that's the quotation. So let's say you send the quotation, and the customer says, okay, this quotation looks good, I want to buy it. So he sends his purchase order to you. And what we do is we convert that purchase order into our sales order. So which is basically converting this quotation into a sales order. So that's what I do. I'll just go here and say create sales order, and it pretty much does everything for me. It brings in all the items, the taxes, the quantity, the price, and so on and so forth. And if I want to give here some customer purchase order and purchase order date, that's something we can provide. And save delivery date. Let's say the delivery date is tomorrow, a little bit further away, day after tomorrow, on Friday. So save and submit, and that's done. So once you submit it, you cannot change most of the stuff here. So maybe you can change the delivery date, but most of the stuff cannot be changed because it becomes a document on which other people will work on it. For example, the manufacturing people can get started, or the demand planner or the supply planner can take this data out and do something with it. So you cannot change it once you submit it. You have to cancel, amend, and then change it. So this is something very important to remember. And if you have a downstream document, then it's locked forever almost. You have to, otherwise you have to cancel the downstream document before you change anything. For example, on this quotation, so this quotation, I cannot change anything on this quotation. I cannot cancel it because there's a sales order linked to it. So, okay, my daughter is here. Let me go back to. Okay, this is a sales order. deliver it. So you can see the status, it's in orange, that means it's not been delivered, it's not been invoiced. So here you go. So now we have an order for 20 bikes. Now what we have to do is, let me quickly, so I can here go and create a material request. So I can say, somebody says, oh, I need to have this, or we can go and create a purchase order directly from here. So either way is good. So for example, here you can see you can create a material request or you can create a purchase order. And for the sake of completeness, so that I can show you the whole thing, I'll definitely create the material request and purchase order, required date, save. You can see it brought in everything. So if you had a list of 20, 30, 40, 50, or 100 items, it would bring in everything. You wouldn't have to do anything. Here you're also able to consolidate all sales order into one material request as well. So you can pick and choose which ones you want to take, or you can take just one. It's up to you. So I create a material request, so that's good. From here, I can create a purchase order to my supplier. So this is my default supplier for buying mountain bikes or to have it assembled. So you can see all the data is already populated here. If there was a contact person for this would have been also populated. And you can see, what you can see here is, you can see I'm sort of purchasing these bikes from this assembler, but you can see the price here. This price is only for the assembly, it's a service. Yeah. And what you'll also see is we have to somewhere say that we have to supply the raw material for this purchase. So the supply warehouse is work in progress. Yeah. So once we do that, I hope I did not forget anything. Taxes and charges. Yes, I need to put that. Normal taxes and charges template. Set target warehouse. I want it to come back here. So this is the supply warehouse. So I'm going to send it here, but it's going to come back into this one, target. So I'm purchasing it for this target, and then save it, submit it, and my purchase order is gone. And here, like you see, what I have to do is, this supplier who's assembling the bikes for me is expecting all the 3 parts from me as well. So I have to transfer the material to supplier as well. But as you can see, when I go to create a transfer order, it'll complain that I don't have enough items in my warehouse to do that. So if I say I want to submit it, it'll say, sorry, you don't have the required quantity to do that. So it will not allow me to do that. So what I should do is I should instead create a material request for this. So you can see I'm creating a material request to Shimano, so I can get the required items immediately, so I can send it to my assembler. So I can see for warehouse, no, not this one. I want to send it to my raw material warehouse. So save it and submit it. So I've sent a material request, and now from using this material request, now this is an optional step. You can also create a purchase order directly. So I can say Shimano. Let's see. I've not created the default supplier for this, so it's going to ask me for who's the supplier for this material. So here it is. Yeah. So here, set the target warehouse to raw material. Yeah. No, don't supply raw materials because they'll find their own supplier on raw materials. And then we have also the required prices that is already listed. We have agreed upon it, so it's all in here. And we have to do VAT for Switzerland, and then save and submit, and that's it. So I've asked Shimano to supply me some raw materials so I can convert that into mountain bike and send it to my customers. So I'm sending a purchase order to them. And let's say we get the goods today. So let me do a goods receipt then. I don't know why it's doing this. My mouse is a little bit funky today. So I'm doing a purchase receipt. As I said, it brings in everything. We don't have to enter anything over and over again. So as long as it's the same parts, everything is brought in automatically. Accepted warehouse is raw material, that's correct. Supplier delivery note, we can give a number here if needed. Submitted, and I have purchase receipt. So here you can see on this purchase receipt, the stock ledger and the accounting ledger, and if there's any assets related to it. So if you bought an asset, then you can see the asset also. So let me quickly show you the stock ledger here. So you can see I received these 3 parts in the quantity that I ordered. So 20 of the frame, 20. So it's saying 20 handles, 20 frame, and 40 wheels, because you need 2 wheels per bike. Yeah. So that is also defined. Now, how does it know that it needs 40 of this and 20 of this and 20 of this? It's because I've created a bill of material, and I'll quickly show you. BOM, list of BOMs here. So you can see mountain bike has a bill of material. You can have multiple, and I've created this bill of material for one. So for one mountain bike, I need 1 frame, 1 handle, and 2 wheels. And I've given roughly the price that is considered, the valuation price considered for this bill of material. So this goes into the accounting. So okay, so the stock ledger is done. So I have received my parts. So I have received my parts. Now what I have to do is I have to go back to my purchase order, buying purchase orders, because now I'm saying to Orlicon cycle assembler, hey, can you please send me the bikes? But before that, I have to send you the materials required. So now I'm going to transfer the material. So remember, previously I could not do that because I didn't have the required material, but now I can. And this is the wrong source. So I'm going to change that to raw material. Yeah. So hopefully that should work. Yeah, you can see it turned green here. So we have enough items in our store to do that. So now I'm going to send it to the subcontractor, and that's done. So it deducted that much unit from my stock in this raw material warehouse, and then put it in the work in progress at the supplier. Now assume a day has passed, or at some point your subcontractor or this Orlicon bike assembler will assemble the bike and he will send it back to you. So what you can do is on your purchase order, you can do a purchase receipt because you received the goods. Let's go to buying. Purchase receipt. It's in the material request, purchase order, purchase receipt.
Deepak, when you get a chance, can you also just show the ledger entries for some of these document types? Abiba has asked us to have a look at that also.
Yeah. So did you? I already showed the ledger for the stock. Do you think I should show also for the accounting or just the stock?
I think maybe once you've done the production, you can show how, like the payment or purchase order, how that's gone to credit debtors or creditors. I mean creditors.
Yeah. Well, I'll do that. Yeah. Okay. So Shimano cycle parts, cycle assembler. Did I complete this? My purchase receipt. I want to go to purchase order. Sorry. Purchase order list. Purchase order list. Yeah, here you go. So what I said I will do was, so I've sent the purchase order. I gave him all the material. Now I expect the bikes back assembled. from my suppliers. So I'm going to create, and hopefully let's say they sent it to me today. So I'm going to do a goods receipt or purchase receipt, and all I have to do is click the button, and then it'll do the rest for me. Oh, something is wrong with my mouse. So this is my purchase receipt. So I'm going to quickly show you something. Stock ledger. Stock ledger. Okay, so here's stock ledger. So here you can see, let's say item group. Bike, is it? Yeah. So 23rd to 23rd. Why it's showing so many transactions? So showing also on the 22nd, bikes, warehouse, item.
Yeah, those are the in and outs of the different stores.
Okay. So you can see at least as of today, that's because this is from the 22nd of February. I just wanted 23rd of March, 23rd of March, mountain bike. So nothing to show. I have not received anything. There's nothing here. You can see all the parts coming in and going out here, but there is no mountain bike itself. The mountain bike is not there because we had no transaction today for mountain bikes. So let's say I do a purchase receipt of these finished mountain bikes, 20 of them, submit, and I refresh it. I can see 9 items. It should be 10 now. Hopefully, yes. Item group bike. Just today. So here you go. So yeah, it'll be, so it added these 4 more transactions. So it deducted all the items from the work in progress, and it added the finished goods here, mountain bike. So it took out 40 of the wheels. So the wheels are here, 20 of the handles, 20 frames, and it added 20 mountain bikes into my ledger. So, so that's clear. So that's good. I can further create a purchase, so I can go and pay this, but as for the receipt is done, it's done. So the goods are here. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to go to the sales order. So sales order list, as you can see, it's still waiting to be delivered. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open it. I think somebody joined just now. Maybe you can let them in, Bradley. So what I'm going to do from here, sales order, I'm going to do a delivery note. Yeah. So I don't know why it's doing that. So I'm going to do a delivery note. And what this should do is it should deduct 20 items from my store and make the number of bikes in my warehouse 0 again. And then after this, we'll quickly look at the P&L, and I'll show you what happened in the P&L. So that's it. The bikes have gone to the customer, and then we can now go and make a sales invoice, and we can collect a payment. So I can do a sales invoice. If they return the bikes, I can do a sales return as well. We can do installation notes, delivery trip if you have your own delivery, or you can create recurring invoices as well. So it's pretty cool. Some of the automation nifty features that they have built in here. So like Bradley suggested, and I had in my list, is I'll quickly show you profit and loss statement as well. I think that's a good place to start. Here you go. So 2021 yearly, I prefer it more like a monthly. So here, if I go to 2021, oh, where is that? Sorry, I should have been in March already. So here we are, you can see the income or sales order delivery note. The cost of goods is here. The income is not registered. Did I miss something? What did I miss, Bradley? Sales invoice. Sorry. Yes.
Did you do the sales invoice?
No,
I
didn't.
don't think you did
Sales order. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So let me convert the sales order into a sales invoice, and I think we'll have it. So sales order here. to bill, because if you don't invoice it, you don't recognize the revenue. So, so again, I go to the sales order and I just say create sales invoice, and it creates a sales invoice. You have naming series for this. For example, I have one for Switzerland, one for India, and so on and so forth. So you can do however you want it. So here it is. I'm going to send an invoice, a complete tax invoice. And here you go, and submit. And you can see here it's 9,000. It should be 19,000 now if I refresh this. And I should have a little bit of a profit there. So again, monthly.
Yep.
And here's 19,000, and then there's a little bit of profit there, like I said. So that's your end-to-end. So you can see I didn't really touch the accounting part. We had set it up in a way that it automatically accounts for everything. So for example, it went into the sales, into direct income, under the header of income, and here all the cost of goods sold was included. All the material was included in the cost of goods sold, including the conversion charges. So that also got here. So that is pretty cool. So once you set it up correctly, all the accounting happens automatically in the background. All the stock calculation happens automatically in the background. And if I go to the stock ledger here, let's say, just opening on the tab, open stock, let's say stock balance. For example, from today, let's say item, mountain bike. Actually, should just be bike. Oh. So mountain bike. So refresh, there's nothing here. So there's obviously, there's nothing to see because I have 0 items here. But if I said, so instead of balance, maybe if I look at the ledger, I think it's better, then you can see all the movements there. Sorry. So here you can see all the movements that get recorded, all the ins and outs are recorded here. So for example, here I purchased it, so it came inside. I then sent it away. So is that really, yeah, sent it away to a different warehouse. From this warehouse, it went to this warehouse, and then it got converted into a finished goods. That's why it got deducted here. And then finally, I sent the mountain bikes out, so the mountain bike also went to 0. So basically, there's nothing left in my inventory because all the things that I bought, I sold. So it automatically tracks everything if you set it up correctly, of course. So that is very important. I hope that kind of covered the stuff that I wanted to cover today. Yeah, so you see, I showed you how to make a quotation, which I converted into a sales order. I converted that into a material request, and from there on, for the finished goods, we created a purchase order for the finished goods, and then we procured the raw materials from Shimano. We created a material request so that the buyer can go and put the purchase order. He sent the purchase order. Then when the inventory came in there,
we're still seeing your ERPNext screen if you've changed back to the presentation.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah, I didn't realize that. Let me reshare my screen.
And I think, yeah, that's a great summary of the whole process, what we've gone through up to the P&L. So we have a few minutes left for questions or.
Yeah. So let's pause now, and also it gives me a little bit of a fresh for my throat. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask now. I think I covered pretty much everything I wanted to cover. And maybe in the next sessions, we'll show you how you can supercharge your sales team, how to set up your sales team in ERPNext, and maybe also how to set up your procurement team in ERPNext, how you can manage stock and so on and so forth. So these are relatively complex cases that we can demonstrate, but we'll try to simplify with very small examples, so it's manageable within the time we allocate for this, and still we can have a bit of a discussion.
Diego has a question. Diego, do you want to do? I think you're.
Yeah, you can ask yourself now. I think we're done.
Yeah.
Okay.
Diego.
Do you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
Diego, yes.
Yeah, okay, great. Thank you for the presentation. So I have a few questions regarding e-commerce. You mentioned that you can connect to Amazon and WooCommerce. Those are two platforms we use. One of the issues with Amazon is that their accounting is very complicated, but I see that you can handle all the accounting here. Do you know if those, let's say, e-commerce channels are also automatic when it comes to accounting? Because sometimes I've looked for tools and it looks like Xero is one of the only ones, and QuickBooks that connect to some of those e-commerce accounting tools. And the second question is, when you create a PO, is it possible to automate any of that? Let's say some of our suppliers have FTP servers or EDI systems, or does it shoot an email, or how does it work in the back end?
At the moment, you can send an email. Sorry, let me unpack a couple of questions. One is, can we automate some of the communications between our supplier and us? And the other question is does it take care of accounting correctly? Now, that we have to understand exactly what it means. It does accounting by itself. And what do I mean by that? When you buy, it registers in the right account. It puts it on the balance sheet. When you sell it, it makes it into an expense as a cost of goods, like you saw just now. So it does a lot of these things, and we can go into in depth if there's any more exactly specific things that is not happening with Xero for the moment at the moment. But we can take that offline because it is a complex topic, and I would like to have Bradley or somebody else with me. Accounting, I'm good at finance, but accounting is not my best one. So, but it is doable. It is fairly flexible. You can have unlimited accounts in the chart of accounts. And like you said, if you set it up correctly, it does everything automatically in the background. So that is one thing. The second thing is, you asked me, is it integratable? And the answer is this: you can easily create an application or a separate app in ERPNext, and then you can write the code that is necessary to do all these things. There's also webhooks. I don't know if you know what is a webhook. So basically what happens is, let's say you submit a purchase order. What it can do is it can call a service and send a set of like a payload, like all the information about your purchase order to a service, which will pack it and create an EDI document and post it somewhere else. So that is doable, but that is more of an integration. It has the way I will say it is, it has all the plugs you can plug all the standard appliances to it. So you can pretty much. Yeah.
So related to that, so I don't know the backend. I've been following ERPNext for a few years already because I find it interesting and I like the direction it's going. So I know with an API, we could basically, let's say, if we have a need, as you said, a webhook, and we could have an external app. But my question will be, let's say, if we want to do an app within ERPNext, is that something like, since it's open source, I imagine it's easy.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can also do it directly in ERPNext itself. So there's many options to customize this or integrate it. One is you can take ERPNext, build a separate, you can change it. But what happens is when you upgrade it, it'll break because it might override some of the things that you've done. So that's not good. So what people do is build an app next to it. But that is also super tightly integrated with the application. So a lot of people say, it's a little bit too tight. I would like to keep it a little bit separate as a service, as a microservice. So then what you can do is you can build a microservice around it, or there are other tools like Knime or Workato or so many other tools that can run on schedule, or it can be triggered and it can pull the data, do something to it, convert it into a different format, into a CSV or JSON or what have you, or a different JSON, and send it to whoever you want at another endpoint. So that all these things are relatively easily doable, as long as you know what the receiver end is expecting and what you're going to get from your API. So the tricky part is to know what do they want, what the receiving end wants. But otherwise, it's very doable, and there are 3 ways to do that, not just one. So
the apps are usually external, or they are like in WordPress or WooCommerce or Shopify, that basically it's external, but in a way it's very tightly connected.
You can also build Frappe apps and make it sit on the same server as well. So you don't have to build a WooCommerce app. You can build a Frappe app, and ERPNext is a Frappe app. They can talk to each other through hooks, and my developer knows better than I do, but they can talk to each other and it can do what you want it to do. But like I said, sometimes it's a little bit too tightly coupled. It all depends on how much you're willing to pay, and are you interested in a good design, or you just want to get a quick fix, or yeah. So there's many ways to do that. We can talk about it at another time. Maybe we can schedule a session for that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll leave the others.
Cool.
So,
I'll quickly
I
check.
think we are running out of time. I certainly need to leave, Deepak. But if you want to carry on and answer the other questions, or you want to wrap up, and how do you want to manage it?
I will quickly address Abdul. Are you developing custom apps? Yes, we are developing custom apps. We are doing both implementation and developing custom apps. We are solid developers in it, so it's not a problem for us to do that. We also have a partnership with the ERPNext, so which means if your requirement is generic, then we can directly get it done for them for relatively less price, because we're going to make it open source and make it available for everybody. So we believe that as a way to go. So we try to almost always keep it in the core. But if it is extremely special, then it doesn't make any sense. And we thanks, Bradley, by the way.
Thanks guys.
Hosting.
I need to. I've got another meeting to go to.
Yes.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
No worries. I can stay for a couple of more minutes. Not a problem. Yeah. So let me just quickly keep up the good work. I look forward to see you next session. No problem, Abdul. Look forward to see you as well. Any other? Thanks, Habib. Any other questions? I would, or maybe Diego, if you have any other question, I can stay for a couple of more minutes. Else, we can take it offline. Yeah, is that okay?
Yeah, all clear. Maybe about Amazon was not on the list of out-of-the-box options. So is that something that needs special configuration or development?
No, I know for sure the last year my presentation is quite old, so I updated it, and my app is also, I've not updated it in a while. But I know that AWS or Amazon Marketplace was integrated. I have not tested it myself because I don't have that kind of client to test it. But if this is something that you want to check out, then we can do a pilot, and also have, like I said, partnership with Frappe. So we can explore it with them together as well. So let me know if this is something that is interesting for you, then we will do it. Let me check again. I'm pretty sure Amazon integration is there. AWS, not AWS, Amazon integration for the marketplace.
MWS is the marketplace one.
Which one? Sorry.
They call it, Amazon calls it MWS.
MWS. Yeah.
MWS.
Yeah.
Web services, I think, is the APIs for the marketplace.
Indeed. There's several for WooCommerce. There's definitely, I know for sure that because I've seen it, but I've not used it. But we can pilot it together if this is something that you want. So yeah, on that note, let me know. I think Bradley sent my email address on the chat. Otherwise, you can just email me at deepak.pai@grin.ch, and we can talk about it as well. So, like I said, thank you all for coming. I really appreciate it. And yeah, until next time. Take care, guys.
Bye.
Oh, cheers. Bye.
Thank
Oh,
you.
there's a few more messages. Thank you all for joining.